Hey everyone, and welcome to another live session of Type Convo. Hi there.
Hey, how's it going? Did we do this?
I think so. I always have these issues with Instagram, but it's today is a bit worse, almost 15 minutes.
Wow. Well, I didn't know if it was gonna work out there. To be honest, I gave up hope, but I saw that you didn't, and so I didn't either. So that's
Yeah,
your
we are finally here. So it's really nice to meet you like this. And
but
as I've said in the intro, I've been really amazed by the talk we gave at the conference here in Barcelona. And that was, quite an entrance with a Barcelona shirt and everything from the football club. So that was super cool.
thank you very much. It feels like 6 years ago, but I think it was
Yeah,
last month. Is that
last month. Yeah.
yeah, somehow.
So how did you like Barcelona?
It was amazing. It was my first time in
Okay.
Barcelona, and so I had never been before, and I wanted to stay. I wish I could have stayed longer, and I will come back because I was the last speaker on the last day, so I
Yeah,
didn't have a ton of time to explore and really get to see the city as much as I really would have liked to. But from what I saw, I really enjoyed it, and I will definitely be back.
okay. Well, I'm glad to hear that. Yeah, to have a better conversation live, I guess.
Yeah, no, I mean everybody says that Barcelona is their one of their favorite cities, and just and I got to experience it myself. The hospitality, the people, the food, everything.
Yeah, it's
So
it's really good.
I went to the beach for a minute on a run, so it was yeah, it seemed to have everything you would look for. Is that where you're
That's
based
true.
out of? Is that where you're based? Is that home base?
Yeah, I am. I'm based in Barcelona at the moment, but I've been living in Madrid for 6, 7 years, and
Okay.
I might go back soon. But yeah, uh,
I really enjoyed it. Yeah.
okay, that's amazing. Well, it would be great to see you. So before we dive in into the big brands and everything, let's just break the ice. And who's the most famous person you have on your phone?
I mean, it's got to be Tom Holland. So for sure. Yeah, I've only texted him a couple times. So
Okay, only a couple of times.
I try,
Okay,
I try not to overuse it, but it is Tom Holland. Yeah.
okay, that's super cool. And you are also zero kids and zero pets. So, what's the most chaotic thing in your life right now?
Well, uh, yeah, I guess I'm training for the New York City Marathon.
Oh,
So
wow.
I've I've never run a marathon before. I've done a half marathon twice, but they were on separate years. So this is uh 26.2 miles in November, and so training has been yeah, my body is I'm 40 years old, so I it's been a journey so far, and it hasn't even really started yet. But yeah, that's the most
Okay,
chaotic part of my life right now is
okay,
trying to figure out how to get my body to run that many miles at a time.
yeah, that might be a challenge. I mean, not because of the years. 40 is like still way too young, so I don't worry about that. But
Yeah, well, I'm looking forward to it if my body holds up, and
okay.
just got to keep training.
Oh, that's super cool. Usually every Monday I release kind of a short episode for the podcast, like Monday Breakthrough. And this morning, actually, I was like recording I was talking about actually the mental health, the physical health, and how important it is for all of us designers who are basically like sitting most of the day. And so, what is your take on that? How do you train? What do you do?
Yeah, no, I think it's really important. I think, as you saw in my talk at Barcelona, I end talking about my personal journey, talking about my personal mental health, talking about my personal journey with just overall health and how important that is to the work that I do because I love what I do as a designer. I love having my own studio, and I love, yeah, just that this is my profession, this is my life. And so sometimes it's really hard to prioritize and take care of myself inside of it because I'm so focused on taking care of the clients that we work with, the team that I have here. And I think oftentimes it's hard to take care of others if you don't take care of yourself. And so I think that's, for me, a lesson I had to learn a bit the hard way. I think as designers, yeah, we put so much of ourselves into the work that we do, not just like a job that you can just kind of just kind of
Yeah,
repeat
for
and not
sure.
think about it. Yeah, it's definitely yeah, it has to come from inside of you, and so you got to take care of yourself. And I think yeah, that's sometimes hard when you are willing to sacrifice or willing to sort of yeah, we're in the service industry in many ways. So
That's true.
oftentimes you're servicing other people's needs above your own, but it's really important that you take care of yourself through the journey. And I've found that personally, the better that I feel, the better the work is, the happier I am, the happier the people that are around me are. And that's really what's most important here.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And I mean, as you said, Barcelona has a beautiful beach here, and I definitely try to go as much as I can these days, like just to relax a bit and then even for half an hour and then go back to work and continue the servicing thing.
Yeah, you got to take a break too. I mean, I've started doing that as well. Just I'm a guy that I used to, got into. You get into some bad habits, right? Where you eat lunch at your desk, sitting, looking at sort of emails and things like that. And I think it's really important that you just got to take a break and go step outside and go walk around and sort of turn your brain off for a second and breathe the air, touch some
Yeah,
grass, as the kids say, and then yeah, it makes you better. I think often,
yeah,
also like there used to be this idea that like you work late nights and the sort of the best ideas come at 4 in the morning,
yeah.
and it's like I don't think that's true.
Not anymore. No, it's just it. I mean, I've done it so many times, like stay overnight to finish a typeface and everything, and I'm sure you did as well. But if you do it for a longer period of time, it just takes its toll, and it's not really what the
Yeah.
body actually allows you to do for longer periods.
Yeah, I agree. I think about consistency and I think about longevity a lot because I've now been doing this for almost 20 years and it's a long time and I want to continue to do it for another 20, 40 more.
Why not?
Yeah. And so yeah, you got it's a marathon, not a sprint.
Absolutely.
So it's important. You gotta be thinking about yourself and thinking about sort of how you can. It's not all going to get done in one day, and no one day is going to be the make all of anything. So everything that we do takes time, and so it's about kind of
Absolutely.
preparing yourself for being setting yourself up for success. And I think sometimes it's not just genius striking once. It's about doing something pretty good or coming in every day, doing something, getting something done, achieving something, trying hard, working hard, but then putting it to the side and sort of making sure that you're getting that time to
Yeah,
recharge.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. To recharge, that's so important nowadays. Um, I mean, your surname is perfect. The agency name is absolutely perfect. But how do you actually center yourself?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's like I said, it's about taking time and carving it out for things that are purposefully going to take my mind off of design, take my mind off of business as a entrepreneur, as a business owner, a freelancer, like, it's your livelihood, so it's really hard to not think about it all the time, right? Like I think that's the that's the challenge of my new life as a business owner. And I used to work at Coca-Cola, so it was really easy for me to flip that switch off at night or on the weekends to say that's my job and this is sort of time for me. But now that I don't have that, it's
Yeah.
really tough to switch that off switch. I'm thinking about work as when I go to bed and think about it from the moment I wake up. So I think it's about finding those moments and those activities and those times where I can give myself permission to just try to focus on other things. And that's why, exercise and training and running has been really good for me. Um, and I, try not to think about work there, but also I have a bunch of, things that I like, uh, TV and, sort of uh, reality shows or
Oh,
stuff that like,
okay.
sports and other things that are just entertainment and they blindly, I'm able to focus on something or take my mind off
That
things. And
that's great. I mean, I wanted to ask what's different between working in Coca-Cola. I mean, being a creative director is not really a small, a position, and it has a lot of responsibilities. So I wanted to ask what's the difference, and were you able to disconnect before? But you were.
yeah, I mean, I think the thing about working at a giant company like Coke is like there's just so many people that are carrying the load, right? And even at the end of the day, your job is important, but there's so many years, it's such a team sport and your team is so large. So you always know that you have other people to help you. And I think, like I said, like the Coke and the company is so big and the business is so large that no matter what I did, even at my highest and most important of roles, Coca-Cola was going to be okay. If
Well,
if
that's
unless
true.
I
Yeah.
would have to fuck up really badly, to really do something. But yeah, no, I think I felt like there's a stability there, there's a comfort there, and it's mostly because of just how many amazing people are there. I always, to lift the table in a way, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So you have 100,000 people lifting this table. It's, if I take my hands off for a little bit, I can say, hey, that's going to be okay.
Yeah.
You know,
Nothing's gonna happen. That's true.
Here there's 10 people, and if one person takes their hand off for a while, you notice it. And especially with my name on the front of the table, I
Yeah.
definitely care a lot about, yeah, the business and everything that we do. So that is the big difference, is sort of being able to turn it off and the comfort and stability of working for something so much bigger than yourself.
Okay. Um, how did you come up to a decision to actually start your own agency? Was it like something you have been thinking about for a while, or you just flipped the switch and was it hard? Was it stressful?
Yeah, it's something I've always thought about. And, even when I would do projects on the side while I was at Coke, I would always put center, on the invoices or, sort of. So it was always kind of like my brand, I guess. It's my last name. So I always saw it as an opportunity, or saw it as potentially as a design studio. Obviously, there's a great history of designers with companies with their last name,
Yeah.
uh, you know, sort of on the door. And so I always felt like that was something that was a dream for me. It always was something that I would like to do at some point when the timing was right. And um, it's one of those things where you never know when the timing is going to be right. The timing will never be right. But there was a moment when I turned 30, 10 years ago, when I had been at Coke for a while already, and I started really kind of thinking, okay, do I want to be here for the rest of my life? Because there are people that work at Coke for 30, 40 years,
Oh wow.
right? 20, and yeah, there are people there that stay there that long because it's such a great company to work for. They treat everybody so well, and it's hard to leave a place that you get treated well and you get paid well and you have that stability and comfort. So that's a I always tell designers that I'm like, if you have a great job with great, that checks all your boxes, like don't don't be running away for that unless you really need to, or unless you really want to. So I think sometimes I was always very conscious of how good I had it, to be honest.
Okay.
Even on tough days where people would complain or other people would be like, I gotta leave or da 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 da. And I'd be like, yeah, I don't know, the grass isn't always greener. And then those people would go to other companies or they'd go to a startup or something and they'd be like, oh man, I didn't realize. I'm like, how's the new job? And they're like, it's not good. So I always really was appreciative of the role that I had and the opportunities that I had and everything that came with it. And so it was really hard to leave. It was really hard. It was very scary. Um, I, as I talked about in Barcelona, I'm not a guy that takes a lot of risks in life. I'm very calculated in my decisions and I overthink them quite a bit. And so, yeah, it was a really tough one, but I felt like it was the right time for me as someone that had just, was in his early 30s and felt like I had gotten to the point where I didn't think that working at Coke was, I wasn't, I didn't feel like I was growing. And I think for
Okay.
me, that was the thing, or I didn't feel like I was really pushing myself. And I love what I do, and design is so much more than just a job for me. So that to feel like I wasn't emotionally connected, I wasn't like I would find myself just like being lackadaisical or sort of like not emotionally being super like I just didn't have that sense of care that I always had in my work and care, I mean, every meeting or everything where I can get excited about it and feel passionate about what we're doing and really want to, sort of deeply, deeply be invested. And as soon as I started to feel like I was kind of even remotely kind of just going through the motions of things,
Okay.
I felt like that was for me very clear that I needed to find something that would push me and would challenge me again and that I could get excited about again. And so center
Yeah.
was, yeah, the only thing.
What was the most difficult part for you? What was the biggest challenge? And while you founded it and started employing people and
Yeah. I would say the biggest challenge in the beginning was loneliness. I think, sort of
okay.
thinking about being, so like I said, I've always been on teams when I was in house, back in the early vitamin water days, I was on a team of like 10, 15, 20 people that was like really, really, we were really close. And
Okay.
it became a community or a family type environment where we were this in-house creative team. And, as we got bigger inside of Coke and yeah, I just always had really close relationships with my coworkers. Just really, I still have a group chat with
Oh, okay.
my colleagues from back in the day. There was a text this morning, literally on the group chat. It goes every day. It was someone's birthday or someone
Oh,
doing something.
that's super cool.
And so I've always had deep, close relationships with my coworkers. And so when I left Coke and I was just by myself in a room. I didn't have anyone to talk to and didn't have anyone to talk about the big game or the HBO show that I watched on Sunday night. And I think that for me was the big challenge. And, because I've never been a guy that just like puts his headphones on and just designs and just,
Okay.
sort of does it by himself. So I think doing that in the beginning was really tough for me. And it wasn't actually until I started hiring employees and people and freelancers and that it started to feel fun and exciting. And, even though it was, and, before that, but it just, I need that culture, camaraderie, friendship.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Conversation.
Okay, that's interesting point, because a lot of people design nowadays like they are alone at home, and I started alone as well. I never actually, I was always freelancer, and I've never had that problem. Maybe, I mean, I have partner at home almost all the time, so it's
Yeah.
kind of, you have at least someone, and you can talk about the, as you said, a game you saw last night or a TV show or whatever. So
Yeah.
yeah, I understand that, and I mean it's definitely important to actually like in those moments to try to go and connect with someone else, and so I can understand it.
Yeah, I've never been a solo act, I've never been a solo, guy. Just in my career, I've always been on teams and working with teams.
Yeah, I know.
So for me, it was a very, new experience to be what a lot of designers experience, which is just, sort of like you said, like a one man band, and
Yeah,
you sort of got to entertain yourself. I mean, I think the experience of COVID was like, for me, it was maybe, that was also a new experience as well, like working from home and not going to an office every day, and sort of, yeah, having a little bit of that experience. And so
yeah,
I didn't like it very
yeah.
much,
No,
I'm a
no,
guy that comes to an office every day, and just something about the routine, and also the separation of home and work. Like I said before, it's really, for me, those are things that I just have found to be really
yeah,
important
yeah,
for my journey.
yeah. I definitely agree. The COVID was really bad. I mean, I don't know about New York. How was it? I don't really remember. But in Spain, we were kind of locked inside houses, inside of apartments for 2 months, I think, and that was
Yeah.
really bad.
Yeah, it was really scary here for a couple months in the very beginning. And yeah, we were locked at home, and yeah, it's
Yeah,
crazy,
experience you don't really
Yeah.
think you will have.
Yeah. And I think we, as a as a culture, I think we just, we've just gotten past it to a point where you could start to look back on it with a little bit of fresh perspective. It was a pretty insane
Yes,
and really life-changing experience for everyone. So yeah, I
yes,
think it was the first time I got to experience, I think, the freelance work from home, make myself breakfast and lunch.
yeah,
While working at a computer 10 feet from my couch. Yeah,
yeah,
experience
yeah,
that a lot of people, that's that every day for them. So
yeah. That's kind of every day.
yeah, exactly. And I don't know how you do it. So
I don't know. I mean, I'm used to it by now, 15, 16 years in this, doing it kind of the same way. And
yeah,
it's just, you get used to it. I mean, I try to, go out as much as I can, just not to be in the house after work. And
yeah,
because if you are like for a week and you work and you are sleeping in the same place, and it's
yeah,
like, it can be really, really stressful. And
hmm
so yeah, I mean,
yeah,
my thing is to go out. Yeah.
yeah. No,
Nature,
totally.
whatever.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny because then, like, because I'm out or I go to an office every day, then oftentimes on the weekends I go home and I like to stay, stay home or stay
Yeah.
inside for a little bit, where you're like, I need to get outside. So it's
Yeah.
about balance, right? It's all about,
Absolutely.
it's all about balance and finding what works for you. So
Yeah, yeah, I definitely agree. So you said you have 10 employees now, and you also mentioned, I think in Barcelona or somewhere else, that you are trying to make Center the best place to work, not the biggest.
yeah, yeah.
So do you have any non-negotiables when it comes to that, and how do you do it?
Yeah, it's one of those things that I've thought about more so than anything else, I guess, right? Which is because I never worked at a design studio ever in my life outside of the relationships I had as a client working with agencies.
Okay.
So I just often think about like what I would want if I was starting my career. and what would make me happy, just getting sort of support, getting sort of flexibility, getting sort of the basics, and also just kind of encouragement, and and just making sure that everybody feels like we're sort of doing this together. And I think sort of, yeah, I don't know that there are any non-negotiables, except for if if it's not fun, then we got to change something.
Okay.
and
Okay.
and I think, and also, like, people are human beings, family first, things like that. Like, if there's anything if anyone's ever having a bad day, or sort of having anything that's sort of happening, and outside of the studio, then that takes priority, and things like that. So I just think it's about,
That's,
like, making
that's cool.
sure. Yeah, and I think that's just like the sort of human, help, working with people and trying to make sure that everyone feels, I think you make the best work when you feel sort of you can focus on that, and feel like,
Yeah, if there's
supported.
no stress around, then that's,
Yeah. And also people that have your back, that are, I'm a big sports fan, so I often think about, sport metaphors. And so,
okay.
I think, um, like, coaches, and sort of like this idea that, like, letting your personality show, right? Like, I'm not trying to
Okay.
make every person in here a carbon copy of me. Like, everyone has their own perspectives, they have their own backgrounds, they come from their own sort of just worlds. And so I want them to bring be that, that's why I've hired them, that's why they're here. And so I want them to feel encouraged and supported in being the most of that, because that's what makes them who they are.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, that's true.
that's what's worked for me, right? Is I just have to be the most me. And so yeah, I just want people to feel that. And I think, I've heard some horror stories of people of working at other agencies and working people to the bone, and sort of stressing them out to the point where they, can't sleep at night, or,
Yeah.
sort of things like that. And I believe that we can have fun, do great work, and also have, sort of time outside of the studio
Yeah.
for, and all of that can be true. So that's my goal.
That's cool. That's really good. You said earlier that leaving Coca-Cola was really scary for you, terrifying. What advice would you give to someone who's actually just starting their own business and starting into design world and maybe leaving a good position behind them? What would be your advice?
Yeah, I think the best advice, and someone gave this to me, and is you got to be uncomfortable being uncomfortable. And I think for me, I was quite comfortable. And so this
Okay.
idea of comfort is, especially on this side, it doesn't, it's never going to be there. And so you just have to become comfortable with this idea that you're never going to be fully comfortable, and it's always going to be, um, yeah, it's always going to be there. That, and not to let it, like, uh, sort of be debilitating, but to help you, kind of motivate you, and that it pushes you. And I think what I always, sort of think about is this idea that, like, you when you work for yourself, you really see what you put in is what you get out. And so you're, because of that, you will push yourself. And there's my to-do list, or there's always something I can be doing
So,
at any time,
sure.
all the time, for this business. Right. But
Absolutely.
you also have to stop, and you have to say, okay, this is, Um, I've done enough. I've achieved enough, and this list of forever ending tasks of things that I could be doing will always be there. And you can just kind of keep adding to it and keep chipping away at it. And so I think it's this, sort of never ending cycle, and that can be in its own way scary because as designers, it's always feels good to like do something,
Yeah,
finish it, achieve
yeah.
it, but
There's always something.
there's always something when you are working, for yourself. And I think the feeling though of sort of feeling responsible and feeling just sort of deeply, deeply connected to what you do is something that can, I never wake up and think, oh man, I really wish I still had my job. Like,
Oh, that's good. That's
yeah.
really good.
Well, I was very scared that that would be something I would feel
Yeah,
when I left
yeah.
because
Well, I can imagine. I mean,
yeah, of
never
course.
being a freelancer and then starting your own thing, and you don't know what's gonna happen.
Yeah. But I do think the feeling of yeah, the overall sort of excitement or enthusiasm and joy of doing this like has 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 far overridden any of the sort of feelings of stress or anxiety or pressure that I feel, which are all there, that
Yeah,
like they're not going to be there.
yeah,
They come
absolutely.
they come with the territory.
No, I totally agree. So you have worked with so many famous people, and you worked in Coca-Cola, but do you also take like projects for some new companies, new startups? Do you approach them in the same way? How do you work?
So most of our projects are with startups and not famous people
Okay.
or famous brands. I think,
Okay.
and yeah, we approach them all the same. The famous people are the anomaly, right? Like
Okay.
those are the outliers. And I think I talked about this a little bit at Barcelona, but in many ways, the people that start the companies are the biggest source of our inspiration, right? Like, is these people that want to start a company, they have this business idea, but they have purpose. Like, why did they do it in the first place? Like, for the most part, it's deeply personal to them, as why they wanted to put this thing out there in the first place. And so, because they want most of the time it's because they want something to exist in the world for themselves and for
True.
others. And so I think for us, that source of purpose that is really becomes inspiration. So I think for all of those projects, we are constantly start by having these long conversations, interviews, therapy sessions about
Okay.
what it is that is driving them to want to build a brand or in the first place and make something. And so I think oftentimes that is really the heart of what we're making. And so it's our job to build it and give it life and put it out there into the world. But it really stems from these people that we work with. So my talk, I talk about Koss or Sophie, two entrepreneurs that we worked with, or worked with here. And to me, it's the same as Tom and Molly or anyone else. Like they just have more followers, and
Yeah.
but like those other people, the same thing. It's like it's based on a personal story. It's based on a personal sort of desire, and for us, it's really just about kind of helping tell their story genuinely about what they do and what makes it special and why are people going to care. And so all that is what we're thinking about. And that's to me the heart of what we're going to build and share with the world, because
Yeah.
those people aren't going to be there. Even the famous ones like aren't going to be there in a store when you're going to pick up a sandwich and a bag of chips and you need a drink, right? Like it's
That's
they're
true.
not they're not going to be there. So why is anyone going to pick them and feel connected or be excited about trying their brand or being a part of their brand? It's really, to me, it's all the same. So we don't approach any projects, differently. Of course, every project is a little different, but
Of course.
the fundamentals are always there, which is how are we going to get people to pay attention to this and why are they going to care and why do they want to be a part of it, and how do we tell them that and
Okay.
get them to feel the feeling of wanting to be a part of it or need that thing in their life.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's how do you actually make a brand? How do you make sure that you actually fulfill their wishes and that you actually bring their real vision to life? What's the real process behind it?
Yeah, you gotta talk. Of course, you gotta really dig deep and try to uncover that and really get them to give it to you. Right? It's inside of them, but they haven't. I don't think every founder comes and says, "This is what I want my brand to stand for, and
Yeah.
this is what I want my brand to look like, and this is what I want brand to sound like." Like they don't give it to you, but you pull it out of them, and then
Okay.
you gotta show it to them. And show it to them, sort of the variations of it, show them different ways that you can tell their story and work together to sort of find the right path forward. And I think ultimately that's what we're doing, right? Is like showing them options for the future of what they could be, what they could look like, sort of like a rehearsal or
Okay.
reality in the future. So that's what we're doing is constantly thinking about what it could be
Okay.
and showing it to them. Be like, is this what you would like it to be like, or is this maybe more what you'd like it to be like? And then sort of through that process of creating and sort of and show sharing it. It's then there's this constant evolution and refinement of making it perfect. No project is ever really, as sort of we show it to them and they're like, "That's it, it's done. Send it to printers."
Yeah,
That
yeah.
way,
It's over, of course.
yeah. So it's always kind of it's a partnership, it's a relationship, and it's a back and forth, and it's a journey. So
Okay.
it takes time and a lot of collaboration.
Okay, that's really good to know and share with people because there's so many new designers, online now and who are trying to succeed. And there's a lot of, I would say, information about like, oh, everything is perfect. It's so easy. It's always like straightforward. You will not get rejected too often. And I actually believe it's like it's not the real truth. So it's really good to know, good to see like that
Yeah.
there is a huge process behind every branding and behind even a logo and the smallest project. There is like a real work behind it. So that's really good for people to know.
Yeah, I never have ever told anyone that it's easy or that it, is simple, right? Like the
Yeah, yeah,
I think when you do a talk in front of thousands of people, it's very easy to look at someone or someone's work and they make it look simple, right? It looks
of
very
course.
easy, but I often try to dispel that because it's not easy and it doesn't happen in one day or with one person. So at least for me, in my experience, anything that I've ever been a part of that was any good that anyone cared about was a team of people that did something great together with a lot of collaboration over the course of a solid amount of time.
Yeah, yeah,
And I always think like you got a couple, you know what I mean? You got some people that our projects are never the source of one person's genius. It's always like, hey, a little bit of this person, a little bit of this person, a little bit of this person brought this idea, then this person had this thing, and then someone else gave us this direction, and then we took it this way. And it's like I get in every project I can kind of tell you, or at least kind of, I can look back and say, there was so many different moments in which that project became what it was. It's the course and it's the result of thousands of decisions.
okay, okay.
And
Yeah, I mean, I'm on my own as well, and it's never easy. I never said it, and especially having your own business and your employees and the people and having a team, and that's especially tough part. And and like finding people who are compatible with each other, who feel free with each other, and so it's never easy, you know.
Yeah, that's a huge part. I mean, of course, like again, going back to coaching and sports, it's like it's not just about getting star players. It's about
Of
getting the
course.
right mix of people and people that work together well. And yeah, no, it's that I think has been one of the most rewarding parts of it for me. Like as far as like things didn't think about coming in is like who the people were going to be that I would work well with and like have on my team and how I could put people together and kind of build that
Okay.
culture and that sort of collaborative feeling inside of a design studio. And I didn't I didn't know that that was ever something I really had a knack for
Okay.
or like a passion for. And so I think it's been pretty fun to be able to do that and see kind of it blossom. It's very rewarding.
Okay. Yeah, that's good to know. I'm going through a website and few projects, and what I've noticed that from a lot of them, from Kineuphorics, Habituation, even Vero, and a lot of them are, when you look at them from my site, for example, and when you enter the website, you see a lot of minimalism.
Yeah.
And do you really think that um, minimalism is the way to go for a long-term brand recognition, or there's something else to it?
No, I mean every project I think requires something different. Um I think I think design is often about making complicated things very simple. Uh,
Okay.
and I think people are looking to understand things clearly, especially when it comes to packaging. And
Okay.
I think there's moments in which brands need depth and layers and multiple tools. But often, I think when it comes to packaging, and I think oftentimes I'm looking for what's the simplest way we can communicate this idea. Like,
Okay.
how can we get this idea across in the most bold and simplistic way? And
Oh,
that's just that
that's a really good lesson.
and that's just for me is like I like to simplify. I like things to be simple. That doesn't mean they need to be minimal, but I just
Yeah, yeah, of course.
I just want them to be digestible and understandable, and I want it to be clear because I think oftentimes people are not looking or paying attention, or I think oftentimes it's about getting across an idea in
Okay.
in a way that is able to be digested.
Okay. Yeah, makes sense. At the moment, I'm looking at the branding you did for United Sodas of America, and I if I would see these like cans on a shelf by other brands, they would definitely stand out, even though they are, I mean, once again, it's when I say minimal design, it's not too simple, of course. It has message, but it's when you compare it to
Yeah.
other sodas and everything, it's a bit minimalistic and some would say simple as well. So,
Yeah,
um,
that's the most minimal project I've ever done for sure.
okay, okay.
That is incredible minimalism. I would say
Yeah, yeah, I
that is
definitely agree.
yeah, and I think oftentimes, like especially in a retail environment, a lot of brands are shouting at you. That has been the sort of norm of retail packaging for the last 20, 30 years,
Yeah,
right? Is brands that just scream and
yeah,
try to tell you every single thing about them uh, at the same time. And so United Sodas takes a very different approach, which is instead of trying to sell you, it says, live with me, like you want to be, uh, something you want to put into your home or something that you want to sort of wear as an accessory and use. It's designed for different, um, experience.
Yeah,
And and
you would like want the packaging like on these shelves behind me, just to fulfill the scene and everything.
yeah, and I think what's funny is we never designed it to be really on shelves. That wasn't in
Okay.
retail environment. It was always meant to sort of be something that would get delivered to your home directly.
Oh,
But
okay.
the brand is now sold in thousands of stores.
Wow.
And ironically, it stands out because you look at a wall of beverages in an Erewhon and
Yeah.
there's so many choices and they're still pretty complicated. Even though things have become more minimal, it's certainly the most minimal. And so you look at it on a shelf and it's the first thing that you see. So
No, that
there's
I mean
a
it's
lot.
a, it's a different approach, but it's a good one. And
Yeah, thank you.
how do the companies actually like accept that? Do they think like, well, this is too simple. This is not what other people do. Um, are we going to be like some weird brand company? And how will we stand out? Or how do you approach and explain the idea to the clients?
Yeah, you got to break it down. You got to sell them on why. Like I think that's something that I think about a lot is like we are often explaining our design. Like I said, thousands of decisions. Of course, we're not going to explain every one of them, but we try to explain a healthy amount and really be very clear as to why we've made the choices that we've made and why we think they're right for the brand and why we think they're right for the business. And I think that's something that is so I learned at Coke. It's there's going to be people that are constantly going to question why
Okay.
the work looks the way that it does, and they have their own needs and their own agenda and their own sort of boxes that they're trying to check. So you have to, as a designer, help take people on the journey and explain to them why the decisions you've made are the ones that you've made and why you believe that they're the right one, and you have to convince them um,
Okay.
ultimately that it's not because you like something or you think it looks good. It's because it's doing something purposeful. And so,
Yeah.
if you want the color to be green, why? Like what? Why is green the right color for the brand? How does that differentiate the brand from all the other brands, and what does it communicate? And I think all those things you can't just assume that your partner knows or your client knows
Yeah.
because they don't.
They usually don't. That's true. And I've been talking to other designers as well, and it's usually at that part, like when you present an idea, when you present designs, and um, if you are not like on the same wavelength, it can go like either way, like be a success idea with a client, or for a client to completely not understand it. And how do you deal with those, like when those things, those situations when they happen, like when the client isn't really understanding to what you are trying to do?
Yeah, you just got to try to get on the same page. I mean, like ultimately at the end of the day, it's their business, right? Like, and I know that seems, crazy, but it's like ultimately it needs to work for them. It
Okay.
if it could work for me and I could love it and be super ecstatic about design that, but at the end of the day, I'm not going to be there in a year or two or three. Like they are building this brand for the most part, and it needs to work for um, it needs to work for them, and it needs to tell their
Okay.
story, and it needs to hit their goals. And so it's our job to get on the same page. And if it's not, you have to understand why. Why is it not working? Why is it not effective? Because it's gotta, there's, and then try to solve that problem
Okay.
because ultimately, yeah, clients sometimes don't even know oftentimes or can't put their finger on it always, like why something isn't working for them. And so you have to try to sort of deeply
Yeah.
understand, well, maybe it's because the design is too playful, or maybe it feels too premium, or maybe it's too vintage, or maybe, there's, I'm just thinking of experiences I've had where people
Yeah.
say, and you have to try to sort of unpack a little bit of what about something isn't working, and
Yeah,
not working for us. Why is it not working for you? And what and ultimately I think it's like I said, it's all about relationships. Like the best work comes from the best relationships. And so every project we have is, I can talk about the people and the relationship that we have with them. And it's oftentimes when the relationship is great, United Sodas is born.
yeah,
Bureau is born. Like they're good, really great relationships with the client and the people involved. And oftentimes when those relationships aren't there, or it hasn't, there wasn't that collaborative process throughout, it shows in
yeah.
the work.
I mean, this actually makes me think. Um, it's out of my prepared question, but
Yeah.
you mentioned it before, and how much do designers actually have to know about psychology of the people and how important it is? Because I've been a designer myself and
Mhm.
before and did logo and branding and website as well. And um, with all of this, you just make yourself like ask yourself, what skills do I need to
Yeah.
actually be successful dealing with people, not dealing in a bad way, but just working with people and
Yeah.
with clients. And so it's kind of a lot of psychology there.
Absolutely. I mean, I think there's two ways I think about it. There's the like soft skills of working with people every day, both, sort of on our side, but also the people we work with and having to navigate and sort of get on the same page as them and work with them and sort of understand them, ask them the right questions. And, there's so much of that is in design, right? Because it takes two to tango. It's a constant dance. So it's like,
Absolutely. Yeah.
I think I often think about those things as so important to what we do. You don't just like get a brief, make something, send it in an email. And listen, it can happen that way, but I have never, like I said, it's always been teams of people working with other teams of people to make something great as far, and all of those are relationship based. And then, so I think about that all the time. And then on the other side, it's like the anthropology of the general, what makes us human beings and like what we're into. And I always say, like, you can't design things that people are into if you don't know what people are into. So I'm always studying culture and trying to have my finger on the pulse of what is going on and what people like and way things are shifting because that's who I'm designing for at the end of the day, and that's who we're
That's
making
true.
brands for is real people in the real world. And it's you know not just the sliver of graphic designers that
Yeah.
love to
Yeah.
drool over work online, or
That's
it's
true.
or even sometimes the founders, right? They have a vision, but it's really the vision for other people, and
Yeah.
I
For
think
the
it's
buyers and
yeah. So I'm constantly thinking about like who is this for and why are they going to love this?
oh, that's good actually. Thinking beyond the clients and
Yeah, of course.
thinking for the general public. If you are making I don't know, a beer that will be in a brand for a beer that will be in a store, and who's actually be the person that will buy it and what will attract them and why will they buy it?
Right. And then what else are they into? Like what are like because we're trying to build what I call or what are called lifestyle brands, right? So it's like part of someone's
Yeah, yeah.
lifestyle, and I think it's yeah, you have to understand,
Yeah,
you know, what
it's a
where
lot more than just Photoshop skills and
yeah, of course. Where does it fit into someone's life? Because
yeah,
ultimately, people don't need more stuff. They don't
that's
need.
true.
They have enough stuff. I think as a culture, as a society, we don't need more things. So how do we? They're not looking for more things.
Yeah, well,
So
that's true.
you have to go and bring your things to them and say
Oh, that's
you need you need this.
yeah, that's a good view and a good point. And you said you are basically making like what you do is for the people. But how does it feel actually to get awards and recognition from design industry on the other side. How does that
Yeah,
feel?
yeah. No, it feels very good. I mean, I think ultimately, it's a love-hate relationship I have with awards, because of course it feels good to be rewarded from peers and industry people that do what you do. And, obviously there's many of us out there, so many agencies that do so much great work. And it's so to win any award is really hard, just based on how many agencies and how many submissions from all around the world. So to do work that's at that highest level and to have other people say, this you've done that is feels really um yeah, it's really yeah, it feels great and always is sort of incredibly motivating and humbling in many ways. And then in the other ways, it's like it's not what I do it for. And it's like the work that I do, like I said, is for people in the real world that don't know,
Yeah, the
don't think about
probably
branding.
can help
Yeah,
scale as well.
yeah. They don't know about typefaces. They're barely thinking about design and branding at all. And I think that is, that's who we do it for. And that's, those are, so the
That's
awards is not a sort of just because something wins an award doesn't mean it's great.
well, that's true. That's also true. It's well, there's always two sides of it. So
Precisely.
yeah,
And
absolutely.
yeah, and before Center, I'd never really won any awards, and I was doing all sorts of great work and doing, I had a great career, and
Yeah, yeah,
so it doesn't just because you don't have awards, it doesn't mean you don't have a great career potentially or
yeah,
great life, and
yeah.
like it's not a reflection of how good or
Yeah, it's not
successful you are.
absolutely. I absolutely agree with that. You mentioned typefaces, and a lot. I do believe that in your work they play quite a big role. Um,
No,
how do you pick that? No,
no, I don't.
no.
I actually don't like. I I mean, when I worked at Coke, I worked on a brand, vitamin water, that I used the same typeface for roughly 10 years. And so
Okay,
I I I I I don't know that typefaces are as important as designers like to think they are.
okay, that's great for my business. Thank you.
Of course. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they matter, but they're I think they don't matter as much as people think they do.
Okay,
And
okay.
that
Why?
that's my
Why do you
that
think that?
because I mean, for me in the work that we do, building brands, it's a summation of, again, hundreds of different decisions and pieces and parts, and type is one of those pieces, but it's not
Okay,
like, it's not the most important. None of it's the
yeah,
most important. Logos aren't the most important, motion isn't the most important, it's like, to me, it's the summation of everything coming together. And so I wouldn't put any huge importance on any one piece because to me it's about the feeling, it's about the story, it's about the overall summation that we're trying to build together. And so I often push back again, like against like the one piece being the the
okay,
the so important. To me it's all just like
okay.
levers on a dial, sort of some tuning things to
Uh-huh.
make a symphony. So
Okay. Yeah. No, it's cool. Do you when you do branding and you said it's a mix of things and mix of decisions, and do you have well, you and your team, of course, do you have the moment when you know, okay, this is it, we don't have to do anything further, or it's kind of a always work in progress, even when it's finished, there are maybe some ideas, or how does it work?
I think more the latter. I don't think anything is like ever like perfect and finished
Okay.
ever, but I do think there's a moment in projects and when you get the feeling that you're looking for where it's hard to describe because it's a feeling of just energy and enthusiasm, juice. Sometimes to
Okay.
call it of just like, does this have that thing that I'm searching for that gives me the feeling that I want to that we're trying to create for our projects. And I think there are moments when you see it or feel it, and you're like, there's something there that gives me the feeling that I'm searching for. And but that doesn't mean that it's done and it's perfect, and you're just like,
Yeah.
it can never change. It's about yeah, exploring
Okay.
and trying to create that feeling and then building upon it. And I think brands are living and breathing, you know, they constantly change and shift. And so it's not like we ever do anything and it's over. So
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I definitely agree. And even with typefaces, it's the same way.
yeah.
Um, when I create fonts, it's, you know, there is a moment when you know it's, I would say, well, more than good enough, but
yeah.
you always can add more and you work more on it. So yeah, I
Totally.
definitely understand that part.
Yeah. I think that's the same with brands and yeah, it's a, I think there's a constant feeling of, um, yeah, how can we make this better? I think,
Yeah.
you know, all the time. And I think even when it's out there in the world and
Yeah. Yeah.
then, you know, and you're just like, ooh, how could we make this a little bit better? Because I don't think that anything is ever like perfect. That's my
Well,
feel. That's
yeah,
my feeling.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
Uh,
And even when it is really great or perfect or something that you feel really good about it, you know, then over time it changes, right? Where like sometimes
yeah.
it will lose its luster because other brands, you know, look like it, or, you know, things stand up as well over time, or, you know, there's always, to me,
Yeah. Culture changes, world changes.
everything is
So
changing all the time.
yeah. Yeah.
So to think that any design is perfect done forever, it's
Yeah.
pretty,
It's not
uh,
really. Yeah. Okay. I will not keep you for much longer. Do have questions and everything. Like I can talk to you like for
yeah, of course.
2 or 3 more hours, but we will have our things like
Yes.
do, and
Yes.
I know you do as well.
Well,
I
thank you for
definitely
the
had,
time. Oh, you got one more.
yeah,
Let's go. One more.
yeah, there's always one more at the end. Well, first of all, thank you for joining me today and for all the effort. I know it's not easy when you have your own company, and so thank you for being here. And I really enjoyed it. When you come to Barcelona, I definitely hope, like, or maybe Madrid. I might be moving to Madrid back again, but yeah, whenever you come to Spain, I'm definitely looking forward to meeting you in person as well. So,
Yeah, likewise. Thank you
um,
for having me.
no, it was definitely a pleasure. And, there are always different views from people, and I've learned a lot. And I'm sure people who listen to this and who will listen to it later will definitely have a lot of lessons to learn.
Ah,
And my last question is, what I ask a lot of every guest I had, if you could give just one advice in the end, not just about design or life or whatever you want it to be, but if it's just one advice, what would it be?
uh, take the work seriously, but not yourself.
Okay. Oh,
I think,
that's
yeah, I think,
okay.
I think what we do is really important. It has a lot of value. There's you know, it matters, and it always has, and it always will. And I think it's really critical that we, um, yeah, yeah, we never forget that what we do,
Yeah.
um, is very valuable, and it affects a lot of people's lives. But as people, we gotta have, you know, we can't take ourselves too
Just
seriously, because otherwise we'll be yeah, just a nightmare to work with for
yeah.
everybody.
Too stressed
It's
and
yeah, too stressed, and you gotta try to keep it fun and keep it light and keep it enjoyable. So that's my piece of advice.
well, thank you, Alex, once again. And Enjoy your day and hope to chat to you soon.
Yeah, likewise. Thank you for having me. It's been an honor.
Okay.
Have a great day.
Bye bye. You too. Bye. Bye everyone.